Ang tanong, meron nga bang team na kayang i-sweep ang eliminations ng seniors basketball tournament sa season 79 kasi medyo matagal na nangyari yun? Makakausap natin ngayon ang basketball analyst na sina Enzo Flojo at basketball blogger na si Adrian D. Guys, welcome back to The Score.
Hey, Great to be back.
What a big question, but we'll get to that later. Let's break down the 8 teams. Okay, 2 days to go before opening ceremonies muna tapos bakbakan na tayo sa Sunday. 5 new head coaches.
Yeah.
Can't wrap that around my head. Dami head coaches. Pero simulan natin from the bottom. Alam ko, tied at 3-11 if I'm not mistaken, UP and Adamson last year. So let's start with UP. They both Pirasol. How are they looking up, this year, as they say?
Tempered expectations.
Okay.
That's what I would say, for UP. Well, Coach Bo, I think, is going to bring in a new system. Will it be effective? I'm not completely sure. A lot of people may argue that he wasn't maybe at his sharpest in Ateneo for 3 years. But if you're a UP fan, there are some things, to look forward to. Jet Manuel's in his last year. He should be probably very, very productive this time around.
Kazlau's coming back.
So that connection could be something. They could be good for about as many wins as they had last season, maybe 1 or 2 more.
But remember, they did have 3 wins last season, but there was a time that they were very competitive for, I think, 4 or 5 games.
They went 2-0 actually.
League leading sila.
Yeah.
Remember, naglaban sila ng, was it UST?
Yeah.
The battle of the unbeaten.
Yes, there you go.
So who knows?
So
they can surprise us again. Okay, Adamson naman, one of the more interesting teams.
Oh, definitely.
Of course, because of Franz Pumaran coming back to the UAP. Not just him, he brought his whole staff of Tunichi Turi, Jackson Tiago, now Ren. Apparently, they're doing very well as assistant coaches. They have Diego Lozano, who's a great trainer. So this team is stacked. They're ready to run.
Right.
The press of Coach Franz, how do you see them? And you've seen a bit of them in the preseason.
Yeah, yung maganda sa kanila is like he brought in a lot of these athletic Philam guards that really fit his style of press, and so you can really expect them to look a bit siguro like the DLSU teams of old. Pero unlike those teams which very rarely had a really good big man in the center, this team has Papi Sarr.
He never had someone like him.
Exactly. Yeah. So this guy is really a dominant presence. If they can't get out, if they can't force a turnover, if they have to go into the half-court set, at least they have that guy in the center to throw the ball to for an easy basket.
Should be very interesting. Now, on the other hand, I think finished 6th was his brother, Derek, for UE. Not much noise that I heard, at least that I heard about UE in terms of recruitment or whatnot, but another year older with this system, another year that they matured as a core, although Chris Javier is out, correct? So how does that hurt them or possibly help them? Because, with that running game, Javier was a bit of a slower big that maybe not something that really fit.
Yeah. Well, 2 possible sides. Kahapon and during the press con, some people were saying na, hey, this could be a team na medyo hinug na.
Yeah.
For a run at maybe the Final Four. And that's possible. But pinag-usapan ka namin kanina ni AIDS, na last year, parang they shocked a lot of people. Nagulpe-degulit nila yung ibang teams ng UAAP. And they won't have that surprise factor this time around. A lot of people are gonna gun for them now, and a lot of other teams know that this is a team that's gonna run, gonna use the full court press, wire to wire. So people are gonna prepare for them a lot better, and that might lower their effectiveness this season.
So like what we were saying before was that dati sila yung only team na talagang from start to finish press ng press. But this time you have Franz Pumaran, as you just mentioned, and then we'll talk about Salle later. And then there's a whole bunch of teams that will try to press. So, exactly. So I'm sure all the other teams, they're going to practice how to break that press. So what used to be their strength may not be their strength anymore.
That's true.
My analysis of that is our anchors will be the sponsor for water. Mapapagod sila sa pace ng game. Okay. Anyway, let's talk a bit about the 3 teams who made the Final Four, but didn't make it, of course, all the way. And then let's reserve the top 2 teams that people are talking about to the last. So first, of course, you got Ateneo with Tab Baldwin and Sandy Raspacochaga. I'm confused who's who, but what's they'll iron that out. Okay. But for you, and how do you see Ateneo? They lost a lot of key guys, of course, Kiefer and Vaughn, and then the guys who were supposed to step up and step in after residency and all.
No longer there.
Gone.
Yes.
What's left?
Well, it's a promising sign when they finished 3rd ng Phil Oil. No? Of course, that's a preseason. You shouldn't really look into that too much.
But still, all the schools are there.
Yeah, but it's a good sign for them moving forward. At least they can go into this season with a little bit of confidence, knowing that they finished 3rd. They have a world-renowned coach in Tab Baldwin, but Coach Tab is going to be a consultant this year. He's going to be in his first UAAP season.
Okay,
there you go.
Yeah.
So, hindi natin mag-gauge how he's going to perform in this context. Ibang laro ng UAAP from FIBA, from other leagues, no? So
it's been decades since I think he
very
coached college.
That's what he
tagal
did.
niya. He did coach college way.
It was one of his first jobs when he came out.
90s pa ata yun. And it'll be difficult for them to go up against big teams kasi medyo manipis ang Ateneo up front. They have Ike, yes, but you know, you don't know what you're gonna get with Ike. Sometimes he can be a double-double guy. Most times,
he's a baby giraffe.
There you go. So, I didn't say that.
It's an interesting analysis.
So mahihirapan talaga Ateneo this season, I think. But they could be a dark horse if they have enough good days.
Okay, NU, just a champion 2 seasons ago. But they still have Alfred Aroga, and Coach Erica said he's changed his system. I had them the other night. The players kept saying it's a new system, it's a new system. So the defense is still there. The priority and the philosophy of defense still there, but they're gonna run down.
Kasi ang dami nilang firepower. When you look at who they were able to bring in, guys from their team B, so like names you've probably heard, like Matt Salle, Matt Aquino, Michael Pate, JV Gallego, and Joshua Sinclair. These are all big names. So if in the past they only had a couple of weapons, like just Bobby Ray Parks in previous incarnations, Jello Aladino lang, and now they have all these weapons available at their disposal, so they should run to get more possessions, to get more shots. Yung problema lang talaga for me is that I don't know who their point guard is. Like
Rev Deputado daw. It's Rev.
If it's Deputado, if it's JJ Alejandro, or if it's Ralph Tancinco, like it's a question mark compared to other teams who know who their point guard is. And given nga, as we just mentioned, a lot of teams are going to try to press. If your point guard can't handle that press, that's going to be a nightmare for that team.
Okay, USC the host, of course, leaving them is Ferrer, Nakiwag. That's a big blow.
Big void.
They have a new coach, but compared to the other 4 coaches, he's the least known. Ika nga for Boy Sablan. But how does USC have a chance, especially in the year that they're hosting?
I think mahirapan din ang UST. Louis Vigil, he could blossom into a superstar, or he could also be maybe their biggest weakness. Kasi parang this is last year, he's maybe, you know, their biggest name, quote unquote. No? There might be a tendency, kasi when he was in high school, he scored like 80 plus points in one game. He's an unknown scorer.
NCAA Juniors MVP.
Yes, he could revert into that mode for UST. That could be a double-edged sword for them. No? But they have guys like Marvin Lee, Kent Lau. They have some experience there, so that could temper that a little bit. Jamil Sheriff also is there. They have a new...
Karim Abdul is finally too old. Because that's been a big question mark.
Finally.
I didn't know how many years
all caps finally. No? But yeah, they have a new import coming in. We can't pronounce his name.
I can't pronounce his name.
But he's a big question mark.
Can you describe how big he is?
He's about 6'6".
Okay.
So if he does really well, if he becomes an Abdul type of player, then UST might be a dark horse also, but I'm not banking on that.
All right, now the top 2 teams everyone's talking about, of course, the defending champions, FEU, and then everybody's, you know, obvious favorite to win it all because of the stack lineup with LaSalle. Let's start with FEU. Coach Nash is still there. They lost a bunch of big stars, but they have a lot of interesting key players coming back. And some, you know, Hulkvist has improved a lot, so we'll see. Well, how do you see FEU?
Well, when they lost R.R. Garcia and Terence Romeo before, a lot of people said, uy, hindi na sila contender, wala na yung dalawa. But they were still able to like go on several runs, and they won a championship. So a lot of people said, okay, sistema talaga ni Coach Nash yung key to the FEU team. So we're gonna see the biggest test of that theory this season because, as we know, Mike Tolomia is not there, Mac Bello's not there, Russell Escoto. So can these pieces fit into the roles that Coach Nash has pre-planned already? That's what we're going to see this season.
For LaSalle, of course, so much talk about Aldinayo coming in from the NCAA after winning the title. Ben Mbala, finally, another finally. Gonna play now. Not stop playing, but finally gonna play now. And everybody's back pretty much. You know, Jeron Teng, Thomas Torres,
so what is it?
Kib Montalvo, you know, and even Perkins, who supposedly was gone and done, came back. Trotter's back, so...
Sargent's back as well.
Are they the team that can sweep?
I think on paper, yes, they can sweep. And I think the only thing that can really stop them is maybe an injury, a suspension, a controversy here or there. But barring those things, they're good enough to sweep the whole league. Kahapon nga, diba, 7 out of 8 coaches. The 8th kasi is Aldinayo. But all the other coaches picked them.
He's thinking
he's probably thinking it. They all pick LaSalle to be the runaway favorites. And you know, ganun naman talaga eh. Kasi if you look at their team, they're stacked 1 through 16. They have Tratter up front, Mbala. Those are twin beasts. How can you stop them? May Jeron Teng ka pa, who could be an MVP candidate this season. And they're bringing in a lot of new guys that are pretty good. Mark Dykes there, Baltazar's there. So sobrang deep, sobrang talented talaga ng LaSalle team.
And for a system that he's gonna run and run a lot and defend crazily, he's got the depth
Yeah.
to rotate quickly.
Yun yung interesting because with Letran last season, he didn't have a big guy.
That's true.
They were really forced to run. Pero this time, when we saw sa Phil Oil, he was using a lot of Tratter and Embala twin tower combination.
Yep.
So that's not going to exactly stop you from running, but it's not
slow you down
it's
a
not
bit.
a full-on mayhem press compared to last season. So yan yung interesting for me. Like, can he balance the two na I have these two big guys, but
And
I also want to
their guards or
press
speed,
all the time. I want to
Yep.
see how he works that out come the UAP.
Can Embala and Teng coexist as stars? Can they play well together? They've had their chance to show it in the Philoel.
Well, in Philoel, though, they were very impressive as a team. They were able to balance that out a little bit. And I think, I'm not sure they're going to go away from that formula this coming season. I think both of those guys are definitely going to be heavy, productive individuals for LaSalle. Embala, it's easy to imagine him averaging 20, 10. Si Geronteng, maybe 18 points a game, 5 missed free throws, something like that. But he's still, he's still going to be a leading MVP candidate. And, you know, si Aldin Ayon knows that these two alphas need their possessions, need their touches. But he knows also na, you know, it's not going to be the most difficult thing to balance that out. Because everyone else on that team, I'm sure, is willing to unload for these guys to get their share.
So we'll see. And the wild card there probably might even be Aldin Ayo himself. As the newbie, not yet at this stage and going up against all these veteran coaches. So we'll see. All the more makes all these questions about the UAP so much more exciting on Sunday na. We got first basketball game Sunday. Saturday, enjoy the opening ceremonies at the USC. So guys, Enzo, AIDS, we'll see you again. Salamat. Thanks, guys.
Hi guys, keep watching The Score for the latest sports updates and don't forget to subscribe to the ABS-CBN Sports in Action YouTube channel.